Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another episode, and hopefully you've enjoyed the show so far. But the other night, I was watching the Sun Celtics game. Mark Jackson posed the question to Jeff Van Gundy about who were the title contenders, and I think Van Gundy said he had I think he said he had 4 teams at first, then he said 6 teams. So that got me to thinking, since we're about 25, 26 games or so into the season, not quite a third of the way through, but pretty close. I thought I'd do this the same thing. Take a look at the teams and see who are the title contenders. Now, um, using tier list again. Hopefully, you guys enjoy when I do these tier lists. If not, let me know. Let me know down in the comments. I do plan on doing more because they basically have a tier list for everything, and it's a nice way to make it a visual for you guys. My audio listeners, obviously, you can't see it, but if you do want to see it after you listen to this episode, head over to the YouTube channel, check it out. But as you can see, I have 4 categories I'm going to put the teams in. You got your title picture, pretty self-explanatory. So the teams that I think that legitimate title contenders, teams I feel like wouldn't shock me if they won the title, go into that category. Next category, need a move or they have health questions. These will most likely be playoff teams who, for whatever reason, I feel like don't necessarily have enough or have too many questions right now for me to put them as title contenders. It'll make sense once I start putting the teams in. Not really close. These will probably be play-in area, maybe like a 6 seed play-in type of team who, may not have a bunch of youth, maybe kind of set in their ways in terms of their roster construction. And I just feel like they're kind of stuck in the middle right now. And they probably need to do something, whether it's an overhaul, breakup of a duo, or something like that, in order to move up to the next tier. And then head in the right direction will mainly be young teams that aren't really competing now, but I see pieces that should make fans somewhat optimistic. So that's how I'm going to decide all this. As I place the team, give you probably one quick sentence or so for each team as why I'm putting them there. Don't want to make this episode way too long, so let's go ahead, get into this one. Hopefully you enjoy it, and like I said, let me know also after the episode uh, if you agree, and if you disagree, maybe tell me, which teams you feel like I got wrong and where you would place them. So, all right, I guess we could just go in order. So we'll start with the Hawks. The Hawks, not really close. I feel like they're too Trae Young centric, and I have serious questions about Trae Young's ability to be the number one guy on a championship team. So because of that, I don't feel like they're that close. I think they have to deal with John Collins' situation. Murray's injured right now, and I do like that move, so I want to put that out there to my Hawks fans. I do live in the Atlanta area, from Boston area, so I'm a Celtics fan who's the next team, but I do pay attention to the Hawks, and that's what I really feel about them. Celtics, they're in the title picture, best team in the East. Tatum and Brown are taking their game to another level. They're getting great production from the other guys, Grant Williams, Derek White, Sam Hauser, Malcolm Brogdon, who might be the free agent. Well, I guess the new move. What was it like? Who's a free agent? No, he was traded. So he might be the player addition that's probably the most important so far across the NBA. Brooklyn, I'll put them here. Need a move, health questions. The questions with Brooklyn are pretty clear. Between Durant, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, can you safely say, one, how many games those three will actually play together? And two, can they be consistent contributors? I have no questions about Durant. After the past couple of years, I got questions about Kyrie in terms of, you know, consistency and you know if the going gets tough like it did against the Celtics in that series last season, will he just completely disappear and leave Durant on his own? And then Ben Simmons, we know a lot of health issues past couple of years. A lot of questions about his game in terms of lack of developing certain areas of his game. So I think they definitely need to move because in terms of down low, they have Nick Claxton mainly, and I think he gets exposed against top tier low post players. Bulls, not really close. I think between DeRozan and Levine, I feel like that duo had a pretty good year last year. But as we saw towards the end of the year where they started slipping down the standings, they aren't good enough to get the Bulls over the hump. They have questions with Lonzo Ball in terms of getting him on the court, keeping him on the court. Patrick Williams, who I think hasn't developed as much as probably Bulls fans would like. I just think that they could really use not necessarily like a hard reset, but change a few parts here or there and kind of see what you have. Clippers, here. They have obvious health questions. Their top three guys, Kawhi, Paul George, John Wall. Now, if they all stay healthy and contribute, I would easily bump them up to here. But for right now, I got to put them here. And like I said, the reasons are obvious. Hornets, not really close. A couple of years ago, they were the young team that seemed to be on the rise, but they're kind of in that same situation now a few years later. Um, the Bridges situation, nobody could have, foreseen that happening. But Hayward, hurt again, consistently gets hurt. Feel so bad for that guy because I was a fan of his coming out of Butler when he was on the Celtics. I really love that move, but he just can't stay healthy. LaMelo Ball, fine. PJ Washington, okay. Terry Rozier, it seems like as we get closer to the playoffs and bigger games, his game kind of dips a little. But I also think they have like a lot of redundancy on the roster, so I think they just need to evaluate what they have, decide a path, decide on like a couple of guys, and kind of change some of the pieces around them. Cavs, I'm gonna put them here, not for health reasons. I think they probably need one more piece and they'll be fine. The Mitchell move, loved it for them. It gave them a guy who could go get a bucket late in the game, which is something they desperately needed. Especially we saw that last year when they kind of made their first appearance into the national scene. But they were so defensive minded that a lot of times in close games, they struggled to kind of get that key bucket late. Donovan Mitchell can do that for you. So I like that move. I still think that they're just one, maybe B level star away. I guess you look at Mitchell as an A level guy. I think they could use another like B level. I don't know. I don't have a name off the top of my head, but I just think that they're one guy away from being legitimately in the title picture. Nuggets, I got to put them here. And this one's strictly health questions in terms of Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is now coming back from the knee injury, and Porter unfortunately has had, back issues and all that. And for Porter, you just hope it doesn't go down the road of Tracy McGrady where his back issues like crippled his career. If those guys are healthy, the Nuggets are here for me because I actually think with those two guys, the Nuggets can win the West. It's just that right now, currently, I'd have to put them here because of their health questions. Rockets, heading in the right direction. They have some young pieces there that I like. They're young, they're athletic, they play an exciting brand of basketball. And, because of that, I have to say they're headed in the right direction because if they can, gel together, grow together, establish kind of a culture in Houston, they could be not just more, they could be more than just a fun team to watch. They could be a fun team to watch that, gives certain teams fits, maybe the older teams around the NBA, and until they kind of figure out, the hierarchy in terms of who's their go-to guy and find roles for some of these athletic guys. but I like that they're accumulating young assets. That's what teams need to do right now. If you're not like these teams here that are not really close, they don't really have a lot of young talent that I feel like could take them places. I think Houston has some pieces that in the future you might have to look out for them. Lakers, I got to put them need a move because they still have the questions that they had going into the season, which is shooting, perimeter shooting. They don't have a lot of it, and I think that's still their Achilles heel. Now, for them to acquire any of that, that's going to be a question for them in terms of what pieces do they let go, who do they target, do they have anything to give to get what they need in terms of we've all heard the names Buddy Hield or whatever. Um, I mean, they've had a better stretch of games recently, but I'm not gonna fall for it and think that they're title contenders. I wouldn't say that they're not close because in the West, I feel like the West, a lot of teams in the West have a lot of question marks. So I think because of that, I wouldn't count the Lakers completely out of it yet. But they definitely need shooters. Bucks, come on, no question. Title picture. You got Giannis. They won recently. Drew Holiday. They know what it takes to win, and they have probably the best player on the planet. So, title picture, easy. The Heat, they need to move. They need to upgrade point guard. I'm not a fan of Kyle Lowry. I don't think they can rely on Kyle Lowry um, in the playoffs. He wasn't really that good last playoffs. He had like a game or two where he was fine, but I think they could definitely upgrade over him. And what else? Also, to realize, Butler's not getting any younger. Duncan Robinson is another guy who feels like he's kind of fallen off in terms of the Heat rotation or whatever. So, yeah, I think they have a couple places where they can upgrade. Mavericks, same thing. Luca, we know he's a great player, but in terms of a number two guy, who is it? Who's going to step up and be that consistent Robin to Luca's Batman to kind of define the roles in Dallas? I think that's the major question there because they have talented guys. Christian Wood, uh, Hardaway Jr., Finney Smith, what's his name? Dinwiddie. They have plenty of guys there. It's just, it always seems like, one guy kind of goes off while the other ones are struggling, and then they haven't really all put it together. I think if they can do that, I think Dallas could be a dangerous team. But until then, I have to put them in that category. Pelicans, same thing. I mean, I feel like their success is tied to Zion's health. I mean, I don't think there's really much more you have to say about that because other than that, Brandon Ingram, like him, McCollum fits well. Alvarado is your Pat Bev, Marcus Smart type who can frustrate perimeter players. Um, who's their big man? Is Valanciunas, I believe, who I think at times is kind of an underrated big man, and he's really evolved his game over the years. And I gotta appreciate what he's done in that case. So I think, like I said, New Orleans is strictly tied to Zion's health. If Zion's healthy, they could easily be up here. I mean, they're number one in the West right now, so they're not that far from the title picture. The Knicks, I would say not really close. We've seen over the past week they have questions of their own in terms of Cam Reddish, Evan Fournier. They want to get rid of those guys, but that doesn't really solve everything for me because I still think they have a Julius Randle problem in that Randle is supposed to be their best player, but he's not that guy. I think on a championship team, Randle should be probably your third guy, not your first guy. Um, I think they're hoping maybe Brunson becomes their number one, which bumps Randle down to at least number two. But they need to get more out of like Obi Toppin and RJ Barrett's taking a step back this season, to be honest with you. And I think because of that, the Knicks aren't really that close. Oklahoma City headed in the right direction. Shea Gilgeous Alexander. playing really well this season. They have Josh Giddey, who is a versatile player who can get you a triple double here and there. They have Lou Dort. They have some young pieces on that team. Now, I guess the question Oklahoma's going to have to answer is, can they put it together by the time, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is up for a new contract? Because if they're kind of still that young team still trying to figure it out, could affect whether or not he re-signs down there. But if they're showing progress and they can lock up Alexander, at least for his next contract, they could have a sustained run here where, they slowly creep up. I'm saying this only because I'm not really sure what Shea's contract situation is. I have to assume he's probably still on his first deal, which is probably maybe up in a couple of years. Don't quote me on that. But either way, even if he's on there on a long-term type of deal, we've seen in the NBA, players can ask out. So Shea has definitely taken the next step. Can those other guys kind of take that step with him and establish a core that is, I guess kind of a threat in the next couple of years? The Magic, I'll put them right direction. Because they do have some young pieces. They still have Terrence Ross, which I don't understand. I feel like Terrence Ross is a guy that probably should have been moved out by this point. But I mean, I guess you could say if Orlando is bad enough to get a top pick, if they get the Wembayama guy, you put him down in Orlando, could they really be onto something? I mean, they have Cole Anthony and guys like that. I think out of the three teams so far and headed in the right direction, I feel like these two are probably, their arrows are probably pointing up at a sharper angle than Orlando. Orlando's kind of barely pointing up. Portland, I'm gonna say need a move. Because they had their dynamic duo of Lillard and McCollum. Now I guess it's Lillard. I mean, they kind of replaced McCollum with Simons, I believe. But I think my questions, even when they had McCollum, were that I still think Portland needs another person. Whether they kind of go the route of just kind of having like a really deep bench, almost like what the Celtics have, except the Celtics also have Brown and Tatum, who are better than Lillard and player X. So I think they could go about it a couple of ways. Go super deep and play against teams that way, or get Lillard an established star and hope that Lillard and whoever that player is just better than Lillard and McCollum were with the pieces that they had, if that makes sense. Yeah. I guess get Lillard a better pair, better running mate than the Lillard McCollum pairing had. Because I think what hurt those two was they were on the smaller side. And I feel like other teams in the West that had real size really hurt them. So I think pairing Lillard with a star big or big wing, I think that's what Portland could really use. Pacers, I'll say head in the right direction. The Pacers, they're in the top 6 right now, but I don't think people are really looking at them as being there by the end of the season. But Halliburton is a great start for them. Now they have to decide between like Hield and Turner what they're going to do with both of them, what they'll do with just one. Do they move one of them, move both of them, keep them both? We'll have to see. I'm sure come the trade deadline, those two names you'll hear a lot. So after the trade deadline, we might have a better idea about what the Pacers are. But I'll say for right now, they're definitely headed in the right direction. The Pistons, I'll say head in the right direction. I like the Jaden Ivey pick. He's I'd say he's probably like a slasher. Um, yeah, I think it's more of a slashing type player, and I think that fits with Detroit. Sorry, but his slashing ability, his ability to get to the rim, finish around the rim. He can play mid range game. I feel like Cade Cunningham, good stepping stone for Detroit. Um, Now fill out the rest. They do have Sadiq Bey and guys like that, so they have some young talent. So I think because of that, you have to say they head in the right direction. Now the Pistons have kind of been in this category for the past couple of years, and I think that is the issue I have. But I will say that they are heading in the right direction. They've got young pieces. That's a great start. Sacramento, even though Sacramento is surprising a lot of people this year, I'll put them here. If this top like four, top five level is sustainable, and let's say like come the new year they're still up there, I might have to move them here. But for right now, I'd say head in the right direction because I think the Sabonis move, a lot of people laughed at it because they gave up Halliburton. Looks like it's worked out for both teams. So Fox, Sabonis, good place to start. With Malik Monk, Kevin Herter. I loved that move for Sacramento. He's kind of been a little bit inconsistent at times, but I think he could be really good alongside Fox and Sabonis. So because of that, headed in the right direction. Phoenix, you probably think I'm putting them here because they were there not too long ago when they lost to this team, the Bucks, but I've demoted them down to here because I thought when they lost to the Bucks, their window had closed with this current group. And what we're kind of seeing now is that teams in the West, I think there's teams in the West that have passed them by, or at least are real threats to them. We've seen it with the Pelicans who just beat them back to back. I think Denver is a better team top to bottom than them. I feel like Memphis, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, right there in the ballpark. So I think Phoenix needs to do something. Uh, well, I think more in terms of DeAndre Ayton. If they're going to commit to him, maybe they need to let him know. I don't know. But they need to unlock some aggression in him because right now he plays really soft against physical teams. And I think that's what's killing Phoenix. And if you look at the two teams I have in the title picture, physical, physical. Look at the other teams in this group here. You could say physical, mm, physical, physical. So I think Phoenix has to address that. The Spurs head in the right direction. A couple of years ago, they figured out they were no longer title contenders. We knew it. They knew it. So what did they do? They sold off some pieces, brought in some young guys to try to see, if they could, I guess, find next diamonds in the rough. Jakob Pertl's probably the next guy who probably will be out of there. He's another guy you'll hear about around the trade deadline. So, um, yeah, I just think they have to be there because they're not contending now. And like the rest of these teams here, they've at least acquired some young guys. So I would say head in the right direction. Plus, it's San Antonio. I have full belief. It's a different era now, of course. I don't know if they can find another Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, but I think I have faith in their organization that they'll figure it out and turn this all around. Sixers need to move, or need to move. Health questions, health. Uh, Embiid, we know Embiid has had a checkered past with health. Harden as well, but they also need. I think they ultimately need to figure out if Tobias Harris is a guy they really want to move forward with, or do they need to cut bait with him and try to find somewhere to send him? Because he just it just doesn't seem like it's getting any better with him in Philly, even though there's plenty of opportunities for it. Because we've seen nights where Embiid goes off, and if they just had another guy who could put up, 25, 25 consistently. I mean, that's going to be Harden most likely, but Maxi seems like he's the second best guy on that team, and I think that's a problem because you have Harden and Harris who are making big money. Maxi isn't. And Maxi, because Maxi's speed, he's aggressive going to the hoop, and you know, and with that type of play style, one, it plays well in Philly, and two, I feel like he's more dangerous for defenses than Harden and Harris are right now. So I think they need to move or, yeah, make a move on Harris, whether you keep him and figure out a way to use him better, or you just send him away and just get something in return. The Raptors need a move. I wouldn't put them here or there because they just seem to find a way to kind of hang around the contending picture. I would say, they're not going to win the East. They may not even be top four, but they'll sit there at fifth. They'll give teams a headache, and I mean, you got to respect them. When the Celtics play the Raptors, I like pointing out that Nick Nurse complains a lot, and whatever. But what he's established in Toronto, yeah, they don't have Kawhi Leonard to win them a title, but they have a group of guys that seem to play really well together, and Toronto is one of the better atmospheres for the NBA. With their Jurassic Park or whatever. So I feel like they could use a legitimate big man because they kind of roll with lineups where everybody's like 6'9" to like 6'5", other than Fred VanVleet. And then the big men that they have are like Boucher. Well, they use Siakam at the 5, which I think is flirting with disaster in terms of a playoff series. They have a guy, Koloko, who I didn't even know about until the Celtics played against them the other day, but I don't see those two as being like legitimate big men down low against some of the guys that have to go up against in the East, like Robert Williams or Giannis, Jared Allen, Mobley, Bam. So I think they could use a guy down low. Utah heading in the right direction. That's a no-brainer. Look at the way they started the season after giving up Mitchell and Gobert. Now they're falling back to earth, of course, because there was no way they were going to sustain that. But it looks like they found somebody in marketing. Chicago is ready to move on from him because he was kind of a bust there, but he is playing really well in Utah. Sexton, he kind of was, I guess, overtaken in Cleveland by Garland or whatever. And now that they got Mitchell, Mitchell's an upgrade over Sexton, but Sexton's a good player. So, I like what they're doing. Oh, plus they got a haul for the Gobert deal. And you give Danny Ainge picks and young people, he has shown before he can turn it into something. So I think they're heading in the right direction. Golden State, they're the champions until we crown a new winner in June. So you have to say that they're still in the title picture because as they showed against the Celtics the other night, they can still fill it up. And that's a dangerous thing in the NBA today, where a lot of teams this area may have questions about shooting and other pieces and all that. Golden State knows who they are. They play that way, and because of that, they're still a threat in my eyes. Washington, here, or yeah, yeah, I guess. I'm only putting them there. It's like a big question mark to me in terms of putting them there or here, not up here. But Beal is the guy there we know. And Beal's a really good player. I just don't know how much, kind of like the Trae Young, statement I made. If Beal is your number one guy, can he be the number one on a championship team? I don't know that. I don't think he can, but recently Porzingis has been playing a lot better. And because of that, I think if those two can, become a dynamic duo in the East, then I guess this is a good place to start. And then surrounding that, you have Kuzma and guys like that they got from I guess the Westbrook trade. So they have pieces there where they could turn it into something. I feel like they need something else. Maybe it's getting a guy to you know play down low. Because Porzingis, yes, he's a big man, but I think Porzingis likes to be on the perimeter. So maybe if they upgraded over like a Gafford or something who plays kind of in the paint, maybe that would benefit them. But yeah, let's see. Memphis, I'm gonna put here, and the question is Jaren Jackson Jr. Because when he's healthy, and Desmond Bane's hurt right now, but Jaren Jackson Jr. when he's healthy, this team looks so much different. He's a rim protector. He can make the three. Sometimes he might be in the perimeter too much, which get back to when I talk about this team right here. But with Ja and Bane, Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., like I said, if he's healthy, this team can be here. But for right now, gotta put him there. Not close. That Gobert trade was a mistake to me. He doesn't fit what they had last season. They had like depth and they just came at you with different guys. They basically put all that aside to get Gobert, and then because of that, it's not working. Him and Towns on the court together. Now Towns is hurt, but he and Towns when they play together, it's flirting with disaster defensively. It kills their spacing offensively. It forces Towns on the perimeter more. And I think that's one of the big problems that they had coming into this season. Then they just made it more of a problem by putting in Gobert, who has to be around the rim. So that's where I have these teams right now. I mean, this is the Utah logo. It's kind of hard to see with this black background, but so technically my title picture is only 3 teams right now. I mean, Van Gundy went 6. Although I will say, caveat, this team very close to being here. So that'd be my 4th team. This team, 5 would be really close. I might say this team's 6. Yeah. So 4, 5, and 6. That'd probably be my 6 if I had to name 6 teams. But for right now, as currently stated in the NBA, these are my 3 that I see as possibly winning it all. And yeah, so you guys let me know what you think. If you agree or not, cool. Let me know down in the comment section. If there's a team you would move, let me know who you'd move, where you'd move them. I guess you could probably reference your team, who's your team in the NBA, and if you agree with where I put them. So before I get out of here, let you know that I will be on Sports Empire Network, which you can catch live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikiLive.com. I'll be on there this week. Tuesday will be my first appearance. I do the big 3 on there every Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Make sure you check me out there. But in the works for another show on there, but I'll save that until we actually make it official when we're going to start, possibly. So there's a tease for you. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Like I said before, if you like these tier lists, let me know. But yeah, so as I always say, be safe out there. God bless. Have a good one. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends, especially around this holiday season. Make sure you check in with just anybody you know, because the holidays can be a lonely time for some people. So just reaching out will always be a big help. But I'm out of here, and I'll catch you next episode. All right.